Beloved chosen one, what if I told you this message didn't just happen to appear? It was sent, not by algorithm, not by coincidence, but by divine design. Out of the millions of videos, voices, and distractions you could have entertained today, you landed here. And that is not random. That's alignment. That's a confirmation from heaven that you are seen, you are guided, and most importantly, you are ready. If you've been carrying a silent ache lately, if you felt like something inside you has been quietly waking up, if your spirit has been restless, waiting for clarity or some kind of holy confirmation that there is more, then this is your moment. You didn't stumble upon this, you were drawn, and not just for entertainment, but for transformation, because something sacred is unfolding in your life, and this message is part of the shift. Before we dive in, I want to take a heartfelt moment to thank every single one of you who has chosen to sow into this space through Super Thanks. Your generosity allows these messages to reach farther and speak louder to hearts like yours that are hungry for truth and power. Whether you've donated or not, please know this: I am deeply grateful for your presence. Your energy, your engagement, and your willingness to show up here means more than you know. And if you're already feeling that pull in your chest, that sacred nudge that this message might be for you, I want you to drop 777 in the comments. That's not just a number, it's a spiritual agreement, a divine yes, a declaration that you're aligned with completeness, with breakthrough, with divine order. It's a sign that you're ready for the fullness of what God has planned for you. Because this isn't just another video, this is a holy interruption, a prophetic pause, a reminder that the shift you've been waiting for might not be coming. It might have already begun, and what you're about to hear, it might just be the message that finally gives language to everything your soul has been sensing. So take a breath, open your spirit, because everything is about to make sense. God's chosen ones, you were meant to watch this immediately. You may not see the transformation with your physical eyes just yet, but something sacred has already begun. A shift has occurred, quietly and intentionally, and it started the moment you chose to be here. By simply showing up, by not scrolling past, by breathing into this moment, you've said yes to something greater than yourself. You've said yes to the part of you that has always known you were made for more. Not the loud part that craves attention, but the quiet part, the sacred whisper in your soul that has been guiding you gently through storms you never thought you'd survive. Can you feel it now? That soft nudge inside of you that never stopped calling, even when the world went silent. That's not random, that's divine alignment. That inner voice didn't come from nowhere, it came from heaven. And it led you here because it recognized the timing was finally right. Not because you're perfect, not because you have it all figured out, but because you're finally willing to listen, willing to question, willing to consider that maybe, just maybe, your life is about to unfold in a way that you couldn't imagine before. Isn't it strange how we wait for permission to become who we already are? Chosen one, how long have you delayed your own unfolding because you thought you needed to be more prepared, more worthy, more healed? The truth is, no one ever feels completely ready to step into the life they were destined to live. You don't enter your purpose with perfect clarity, you enter it with a flicker of belief, and that flicker is what heaven responds to. As Jesus said, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible for you. You see, it was never about having all the answers, it was about having just enough faith to take one step. Think of Oprah Winfrey. She didn't start her journey with riches, recognition, or a roadmap. She started with abuse, rejection, and poverty. But that didn't stop the whisper inside her from growing louder. She followed it, not perfectly, but faithfully. And in doing so, she walked herself into a destiny that the world eventually had to recognize. Could the same thing be happening inside you right now? Could your smallest act of belief be unlocking something massive in the spiritual realm? Chosen one, let's go deeper. That flicker inside you, the one you've felt since childhood, the one that never dies no matter how much life tries to smother it, is not just imagination. That flicker is your divine ignition. It's the reason you kept breathing through heartbreaks that felt like they'd crush your ribs. It's the reason you still have hope, even after betrayals that should have killed your trust in humanity. It's the reason you look at the sky sometimes and think, there has to be more. That longing is sacred. That ache is not weakness, it's evidence of your assignment. As Paul wrote, we are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair. Your resilience isn't just survival, it's spiritual proof that you're still tethered to something higher. And don't you dare forget what you've already overcome. There were nights your pillow held more tears than your heart could explain. There were mornings when getting out of bed was a war. There were years you smiled in public and shattered in private, but you never stopped entirely. You paused, you questioned, but you didn't quit. And that, chosen one, is the proof that power still lives in you. What if you saw your pain, not as punishment, but as preparation? What if everything they took from you was heaven's way of pruning your soul for something far bigger? Let's look at Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison for a dream the world wasn't ready for. Most would have given up, but he didn't, because even in a prison cell, his soul was listening. And when his time came, he walked out not with bitterness, but with purpose. Chosen one, what prison are you sitting in right now? Of fear, of self-doubt, of other people's opinions? Could it be that you're not stuck but being positioned? Ask yourself this: if I wasn't chosen, why did I survive what they didn't? Why did I keep my softness when the world tried to harden me? Why do I still see beauty, still crave meaning, still yearn for something more? That yearning is your spiritual fingerprint. That's what separates you from the 99%. And that's why the enemy fought so hard to confuse you, because clarity makes you unstoppable. Even Jesus faced resistance in the wilderness before his ministry began. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. Matthew 41. You too have faced wilderness seasons, but those dry, lonely, confusing places weren't the end of you. They were the training ground, the fire that revealed your flame, because what's real cannot be destroyed, and you, chosen one, are very real. What you carry cannot be faked. The anointing on your life cannot be replicated. The wisdom you've earned cannot be bought, and the power within you, it just needs to be remembered. Let's not forget J.K. Rowling. Before the world knew her name, she was a single mother, battling depression, writing in cafes while living off welfare. She didn't see the billion-dollar legacy coming. She just followed the nudge to write. Chosen one. What if the thing you keep dismissing is the very key to your legacy? What if the voice you've ignored is the same voice heaven has been waiting for you to obey? As Romans 8:18 reminds us, the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed in us. That glory is in you right now, waiting to be activated, not when you feel perfect, but when you feel ready enough to begin. The power you seek isn't in some far-off future, it's been seeded in your soul from the beginning. Take a look at Malala Yousafzai, shot in the head for going to school, silenced, nearly killed. And yet she rose. She used her voice not to scream in rage, but to speak in light. And now, she's changing history. What is your voice waiting to say? What story is your pain shaping you to tell? And here's the truth you may not want to hear, but need to. Power without direction can become chaos. You've been given fire, but now you must learn to contain it, focus it, and use it for good. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. You're not just meant to survive, you're meant to lead, to inspire, to illuminate paths others cannot even see. You see, chosen one, the truth is startling once you finally wake up to it. Most people spend their entire lives asleep, not physically, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally. They drift through their days on autopilot, reacting to whatever happens around them, as if life is something being done to them instead of something they are co-creating. They survive rather than truly live, and they call it normal. But you're different. You've started to notice the patterns. You've felt the emptiness behind the routine. You've questioned the noise, the narrative, the endless distractions. And that alone makes you rare. Have you ever paused to wonder why you're suddenly aware while others remain oblivious? Why your spirit stirred while theirs stayed silent? You are not here by coincidence. You are not hearing these words by accident. Something in your soul chose to wake up, and that awakening is a divine invitation to stop reacting and start creating intentionally, deliberately, powerfully. Awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Ephesians 5:14. This scripture isn't just poetic, it's prophetic. Most of the world is sleepwalking through blessings, ignoring signs and missing callings, but not you. You're beginning to realize that you were born to live differently, not passively but with purpose. Think of Jim Carrey, not just the comedian, but the man behind the laughter. He once said, "I wish everyone could become rich and famous so they could see that it's not the answer." Behind the masks, Carrey discovered something deeper, that reality bends to our intention, that we can either be prisoners of our past or architects of our future. Chosen one. What if your life has been waiting all this time for you to decide to wake up and take the wheel? This awakening is the reason your spirit no longer fits into small places. It's why shallow conversations feel exhausting. It's why old habits don't satisfy anymore. You weren't made for sleepwalking. You were made to see beyond the veil, and with that vision comes responsibility. Once you realize you have the power to shift your reality, not by luck, not by chance, but by sacred intention, you can no longer pretend to be powerless. As Proverbs 23:7 says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Your mind isn't just a processor, it's a portal. What you focus on expands. What you speak into the atmosphere plants seeds. What you choose over and over becomes your legacy. Look at Steve Jobs. He didn't create Apple by reacting to the market. He created it by seeing what didn't yet exist and refusing to settle for what already was. He shaped the future by choosing to think differently. Chosen one, what future is trapped inside you, waiting for you to believe in it enough to build it? Have you allowed your past to convince you that you must play small when God designed you to move mountains? Let's be honest, there's comfort in being asleep. It requires nothing. No risk, no courage, no confrontation. But there is no peace there. There is no legacy there. Only stagnation. And the most painful thing about being chosen is that your soul won't let you stay asleep for long. You feel it in your restlessness, in your tears, in your dissatisfaction with things that others settle for. That's your spirit sounding the alarm. That's your call to rise. And when you rise, the entire atmosphere shifts. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Isaiah 61 declares, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." This isn't a suggestion, it's a commandment for the awakened. You don't need permission to change your life. You only need the courage to take that first step in a new direction. And once you do, momentum begins to build. Doors you thought were locked start opening. People you never imagined meeting start showing up. Opportunities begin to align. Why? Because the universe responds to bold decisions. God honors the awakened heart. Consider Maya Angelou. Her early years were marked by trauma and silence. She didn't even speak for years. But when she finally broke her silence, the world couldn't stop listening. She woke up. She chose to own her voice. And in doing so, she awakened millions. Chosen one, what is your silence hiding? What power lies dormant inside you, just waiting for the courage to be released? And still the question lingers. Are you ready to move with intention instead of reaction? Are you willing to believe that your life is not a series of accidents, but a blueprint waiting to be activated? Will you stay passive, or will you lean into the truth that you are a co-creator with heaven? As Romans 12:2 instructs, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Your transformation starts with your thoughts, your choices, and your belief that the patterns can be broken, that you are not bound by what has been, but guided by what can be. You were never meant to just survive the day. You were meant to design a reality that aligns with your calling. Chosen one, here's the truth the world has tried to keep from you. You don't need to wait until every light turns green before you start driving toward your purpose. You don't need all the steps to make the first move. That belief that life must look perfect before you act is one of the greatest deceptions ever sold. The real breakthrough comes when you act before everything aligns, when you step forward even when your knees shake, when you speak even when your voice trembles. That's not recklessness, that's divine faith. That's you moving in partnership with heaven. Because here's the secret, alignment isn't found, it's created. With each step you're shaping the ground beneath you, And when you dare to believe in your power to shift your own life, especially when there's no evidence around you, you begin to call forth a new reality, one that mirrors your intention, one that reflects your inner shift, one that changes everything. Can you feel that pull deep in your spirit that says there's more for me? That's not imagination, that's prophecy. That's your soul reminding you that what you believe begins to shape what you receive. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. You don't have to see the finish line to know it exists. You just have to trust the next step is sacred. When you walk in belief, the universe responds not with delay, but with confirmation. Take for example the journey of Tyler Perry. He faced homelessness, rejection and failure over and over again. He could have waited for conditions to improve. He could have waited for someone else to believe in him first. But instead, he acted again and again on a vision no one else could see. And that persistence carved out a legacy. Chosen one, what dream inside you has been waiting for action, not more analysis? What would happen if you moved even without a map? You see, people who seem lucky aren't operating on chance. They're operating on frequency. They expect good things not because they've never been hurt, but because they've trained themselves to seek possibility in the ruins. They've decided to become magnetized by hope instead of paralyzed by fear. They've mastered the art of inner wealth, and that wealth, emotional, spiritual, energetic, spills outward. Over time, their outer world begins to reflect their inner landscape. For from the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks, and from the fullness of their faith, reality bends. Look at Serena Williams. Her physical training was unmatched, yes, but it was her mindset that made her legendary. Every time she stepped onto the court, she acted with certainty long before the outcome was guaranteed. Her belief created momentum, and momentum created dominance. The same principle applies to you. The version of you that succeeds doesn't start when everything is perfect. It starts when you decide to believe repeatedly, no matter the odds. So let me ask, what are you waiting for permission to do that God has already whispered is yours? And here's what you must remember, chosen one. Even if you've failed before, even if you've started and stopped a dozen times, that doesn't disqualify you. That's part of the becoming. Growth is not a straight line, it's a holy spiral. You rise, you fall, you pivot, you return. Each time you try again, your power compounds. You become less afraid of falling and more focused on flying. You become sharper in your self-awareness, more tender with your healing, and bolder in your truth. And that's where true mastery begins. Think of Thomas Edison. He failed over 1,000 times before creating the light bulb, but he never saw it as failure. He called it learning, adjusting, growing, and every attempt brought him closer to illumination. Chosen one, how many times have you dimmed your light because you thought a detour meant denial? What if your delays were actually strengthening your clarity and precision? That's the gift of awareness. It transforms everything. Once you begin noticing your thoughts, observing your patterns, tracing the emotional roots of your triggers, you regain your authority. No longer tossed around by every storm, you learn to anchor yourself. You stop reacting to chaos and start responding with clarity. You stop chasing outcomes and start choosing alignment. And when you move from awareness, your life begins to settle into a divine rhythm. Things begin to feel less like struggle and more like synchronicity. Proverbs 4:7 says, "Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding." When you understand your own soul, when you gain insight into your triggers, your values, your desires, you become unshakable. You walk into rooms with presence. You make decisions from discernment, not desperation. You command respect without ever raising your voice. That is the power of an awakened chosen one. That is the kind of peace no one can take from you. Now consider someone like Viola Davis. Her journey was anything but easy. Raised in poverty, surrounded by adversity, and often overlooked, yet she never let her past define her potential. Through every setback, she chose to rise again. She chose awareness over avoidance, growth over bitterness, and now she stands as one of the most respected and decorated actors of our time. Why? Because she did the invisible work, the kind that nobody claps for but heaven never forgets. And that's what you're doing now. Whether you realize it or not, you're already shifting. Your energy has changed. The way you think, feel, and question the world is not what it was a year ago or even a month ago. Something within you is stretching, awakening, aligning, and your curiosity, the very thing that led you here, is a signal of transformation. That spark in you, it's not small, it's the beginning of a wildfire. So even if no one sees your progress yet, even if no one celebrates your transformation, you must learn to honor the quiet breakthroughs. Because this inner work, the invisible work, is what lays the foundation for miracles. It's what separates the chosen from the comfortable. It's what builds spiritual stamina, emotional resilience, and mental clarity. And once that foundation is set, nothing can shake what's built upon it. As Galatians 6:9 reminds us, let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Chosen one, don't give up. Don't talk yourself out of what God is still growing. Don't measure your becoming by visibility. Just because it's invisible now doesn't mean it's insignificant. You're building something eternal, and heaven is watching you with pride. Isn't it strange, chosen one, how we've been conditioned to wait for someone else to tell us we're doing well before we allow ourselves to believe it? Since childhood, we've been subtly taught to seek approval, to measure our worth through the eyes of others, through gold stars, promotions, applause, and social proof. And so we end up delaying our joy, deferring our pride, and dimming our light, all because no one clapped yet. But what if I told you the applause was never the point? What if you didn't need anyone else's permission to feel proud of how far you've come? What if your very existence, your decision to show up in a world that tried to break you, was already worthy of celebration? Chosen one, you are not becoming valuable. You are valuable right now. Not because you've achieved perfection, not because you've completed some checklist, but because you're present, you're aware, you're trying, and in a world where many have checked out completely, that alone is a revolutionary act. So ask yourself, why do you hesitate to celebrate your own growth? Why do you look outward for affirmation when the spirit within you is already whispering, well done? Psalm 139:14 reminds us, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, I know that full well. This verse isn't just about your design, it's about your development. You were created with divine intention, and every step you've taken, even the messy ones, are part of that masterpiece in motion. You're not just here to exist, you're here to become, and you already are, even when no one sees it. Think of Lizzo. Before the world knew her name, she struggled with self-doubt, criticism, and rejection. But instead of waiting for the world to affirm her worth, she decided to affirm it herself. She embraced her identity, her voice, her body, and her art, and the world caught up later. What shifted her life wasn't external validation, it was internal conviction. What would change for you if you stopped waiting for recognition and started walking in confirmation? That feeling you carry, the persistent tug at your soul that whispers, you were made for more, that's not your imagination. That's the sound of destiny clearing its throat. That's your truth trying to rise through the noise. And here's the key. It's not asking you to hustle harder or prove anything. It's asking you to trust deeper, deeper in your timing, deeper in your design, deeper in the path that doesn't always make logical sense but feels spiritually right. Because the road to greatness was never promised to be obvious. It was only promised to be guided. Proverbs 3:5-6 tells us, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. Trust doesn't mean you'll always see the next step. It means you take it anyway. And chosen one, you've already proven that you're willing. Now you just have to keep walking. Let's take a look at Keanu Reeves. Despite global fame, he endured unthinkable personal losses. His child, his partner, his closest loved ones. Through it all, he remained grounded, humble, and quietly persistent. He didn't demand the spotlight, he trusted the journey. And now people see his light, not because he forced it, but because he stayed true to it. Chosen one, what would happen if you let go of the need to be seen and instead focused on being aligned? And still the question remains, what if your job right now isn't to fix yourself, but to remember who you were before the world told you to prove your worth? What if everything you've been through, every heartbreak, every setback, every lonely night, wasn't punishment but preparation? What if your only task now is to believe that you're not behind, not broken, not too late, but right on time? Romans 8:28 declares, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." That includes the confusing chapters. That includes the silent seasons. That includes the moments when it felt like nothing was working, because in truth everything was. Your tears were watering your roots. Your stillness was cultivating your discernment. Your loneliness was strengthening your intimacy with the divine. You weren't being punished. You were being positioned. Think of Simone Biles, the world's most decorated gymnast. When she chose to step back from competition to protect her mental health, the world had opinions. But she chose inner truth over outer applause. She reminded the world that your value is not in your performance, it's in your presence. Chosen one, do you know how powerful you become when you no longer need to perform to feel enough? Even when you feel unseen by the world, you are never overlooked by God. Even when things don't make sense on the outside, something sacred is unfolding on the inside. There is a greater hand guiding you, nudging you through the fog, whispering, "Keep going," even when logic screams, "Turn back." Have you forgotten how many times you've made it through what should have ended you? Have you considered that survival wasn't just resilience, it was spiritual evidence? And so I ask you, can you trust that your path is divine, even when it's unclear? Can you stop delaying your joy, your gratitude, your self-worth until some imaginary milestone is reached? Can you let this moment be enough, because you are? Isaiah 41:10 reassures you, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." You are held, you are guided, and yes, chosen one, you are ready, even if you still feel afraid. Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to walk forward with it. Look at Chadwick Boseman. While battling cancer in secret, he continued to show up, to give, to inspire, without waiting for sympathy or applause. He lived on purpose. He didn't delay his light, and that light now echoes across generations. Chosen one, what legacy are you building in silence that the world will one day thank you for? Life, chosen one, has a mysterious way of breaking us open, not to destroy us, but to illuminate us from within. It doesn't shatter us for sport. It pierces our carefully constructed comfort zones just enough to let divine light pour through. And while our human instinct is to resist that breaking, to cling to what's familiar, transformation doesn't come through ease. It comes through surrender. Isn't it interesting how we all want to evolve, to ascend, to become, but we rarely want to endure the discomfort that transformation requires? What if the very thing you're avoiding, the stretch, the tension, the unfamiliar, is actually your initiation? The discomfort you've felt lately isn't a punishment. It's an invitation. That resistance in your chest, that quiet ache in your spirit, that's not failure. It's friction from outdated programming, trying to keep you confined in a space you've outgrown. And let's be honest, how many times have you equated safety with satisfaction? How many times have you stayed small because it felt familiar? But chosen one, safety isn't always sacred. Comfort isn't always confirmation. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. James 1:2-3. You weren't meant to just survive the fire, you were meant to shine because of it. Look at Lady Gaga. Before the fame, the Grammys and the global stages, she was ridiculed for being too weird, too dramatic, too different. But she didn't let that story define her. She rewrote it. She leaned into the very qualities that others rejected and turned them into her superpower. Chosen one, what are you still holding on to because it once felt safe, even if it now feels suffocating? What would happen if you let go of the version of you that was built for survival and stepped into the one made for impact? You see, there comes a moment when you must choose to release the narrative that no longer serves you, the one that whispers, "You can't, you're not ready, now's not the time." That story may have protected you in the past, but now it's preventing your progress. It's time to say goodbye to that voice, because the truth is, it was never telling you the truth. It was repeating fear, and fear doesn't deserve the final word in your story. Isaiah 43:19 says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up, do you not perceive it?" The key is in the perception. Your miracles have been waiting. Your breakthroughs have been whispering. But if you're tuned into fear, you'll miss the frequency of favor. It's time to switch the channel, to stop replaying the old heartbreaks, the betrayals, the disappointments, and start imagining what healing looks like, what love feels like, what purpose tastes like. Because once you allow yourself to see it, you start to live it. Think of Elon Musk. He faced failure after failure, rockets exploding, companies nearly collapsing, the world laughing. But he didn't let those setbacks harden his vision. He used them to refine it. He didn't let failure speak louder than faith. Chosen one, can you say the same? Can you look at what didn't work and still believe something greater is unfolding? Can you stop waiting for a miracle and realize that you are the miracle, living, breathing evidence of divine possibility? The very fact that you're here receiving this message means you're waking up, you're tuning in, and that matters more than you know. Because when you say yes, not just with your words, but with your energy, your focus, your intention, the universe answers, heaven leans in, the flow begins, and you'll start noticing the shift. Don't be surprised when synchronicities start stacking, when numbers repeat, when people arrive just when you need them, when doors open that no man could have forced. That's not coincidence, that's alignment catching up to your awareness. Psalm 37:23 says, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way." Your steps are being guided. Chosen one. Even when it feels like you're walking blindfolded, heaven sees the map. Your only job is to keep moving, keep trusting, keep aligning, because awareness changes everything. When you become conscious of your energy, your beliefs, your patterns, you stop being a victim of your story and start becoming its author. Consider Michelle Obama. She didn't arrive in the spotlight by chance. Her journey was shaped by struggle, by doubt, by systems that were not built for her success. But she didn't let those limitations define her. She owned her presence. She moved with grace and intention. And now, her legacy empowers millions. Chosen one, what legacy are you delaying because of a story that no longer fits who you're becoming? And here's where your power truly awakens. When life stops feeling like something that's happening to you and starts becoming something that's happening through you. That's the shift. You're not just a recipient, you're a co-creator. You are not waiting for destiny to drop from the sky. You are weaving it with every thought, every choice, every act of faith. You're no longer reacting to life, you're shaping it. And that chosen one is your divine inheritance. John 1:5 declares, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." The light in you cannot be dimmed by circumstances. It cannot be cancelled by past mistakes. It cannot be delayed by others' disbelief. But it can be forgotten unless you choose to remember it. Unless you choose daily to rise, to believe, to move in faith even when logic begs you to stay still. So what if this breaking open isn't a breakdown, but a breakthrough? What if the discomfort is proof that something new is being born? What if the ache is actually the stretching of your spirit into a life too big for your old limitations? You're no longer asleep. You're no longer silent. You're no longer shrinking. You're opening, expanding, awakening. And as you do, you shift everything around you, not because of force, but because of presence, because you finally said yes, because you finally stopped waiting to become and chose to be. Chosen one. You were never meant to control every outcome. That's not your role. That's not your burden. What you were meant to do is master your focus, because focus is power. Focus is spiritual architecture. It's the brushstroke of your reality. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. And that energy, whether directed by fear or by faith, begins to shape the world around you. Can you see how often you've been taught to obsess over outcomes, timelines and results, when the real transformation begins with what you choose to focus on right now? If you constantly focus on what's missing, on what you lack, you unconsciously feed scarcity, and scarcity multiplies. If your mind is fixed on disappointment, failure or betrayal, your soul begins to expect them, and life complies. But when you shift your attention, when you make the brave decision to focus on gratitude, even if it's just for breath in your lungs or sunlight on your face, something within you expands. You become a magnet for abundance. Why? Because your internal world begins to speak a different frequency. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Philippians 4:6. This isn't wishful thinking, it's spiritual alignment. What you dwell on becomes what you dwell in. Chosen one, have you noticed that when you fixate on fear, it grows louder, and yet when you focus on possibility, doors begin to creak open? Maybe not in the exact way you imagined, maybe not as quickly as you prayed, but they open always, because belief is a key, and when you use that key, it unlocks realms the eyes can't yet see. Consider the journey of Morgan Freeman. He didn't achieve his breakthrough until his 50s. Decades of small roles, waiting, hoping, showing up without knowing when or if the moment would come. But what did he do? He stayed focused, not on age, not on delay, not on lack, but on possibility. And eventually the door opened. Not just one, but many. Chosen one, could it be that your delay isn't a denial but a divine setup, just waiting for your focus to match your favor? Because when you start believing in possibility, your energy shifts. You walk differently. You speak with quiet confidence. You look at obstacles with curiosity instead of fear. And even when you don't announce it, people around you feel it. They sense something different in your presence. Even if they can't put it into words, they know something has changed. That's alignment. That's the fruit of faith. That's the atmosphere of someone who has learned how to focus forward instead of fixating backward. Proverbs 4:25-26 tells us, "Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways." There is divine strategy in stillness. There is divine momentum in clarity. And clarity comes from focus, not scattered thoughts, not anxious striving, but steady spiritual vision. You don't need to map out every detail. You just need to master your gaze. What are you looking at right now? What are you feeding with your thoughts? Look at Malala Yousafzai, shot in the head by extremists for going to school, and yet she didn't fix her focus on fear. She fixed it on justice, on education, on the possibility of a world where girls could learn without fear. That focus gave her a Nobel Peace Prize. That focus changed nations. Chosen one, what would shift if you took all the energy you've used trying to control what you can't and redirected it into believing what you can? You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You don't have to have it all figured out to be magnetic. You just have to commit to seeing through the lens of what's possible, not what's probable. There's a difference. Possibility makes room for miracles. Probability lives in the past. And you, chosen one, are not meant to live trapped by what happened. You are called to live stretched by what could be. John 15:7 offers a sacred reminder. "If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you." This is not about controlling every step. It's about aligning your heart, your focus, and your spirit with divine truth. When you do that, you don't need to chase what's meant for you. You simply attract it. Think of Walt Disney. Fired for lacking imagination, bankrupt at times, constantly told no, but he never focused on what they said. He focused on what he saw, the vision, the magic, the future. And now generations live inside the dreams he dared to believe were possible. Chosen one, what dream is waiting for your focus? What vision is heaven waiting for you to take seriously? So today, instead of obsessing over how everything will happen, return to the question, where is my focus? Is it on fear or is it on faith? Is it on what's gone or what's coming? Because every time you return to possibility, you reconnect to power. And from that place, you start drawing to you the people, the timing, the resources, and the revelations that match the frequency of your belief. And remember this, it's not magic, it's not coincidence, it's alignment. The divine reward for trusting yourself, especially when it would have been easier to doubt. You're not manipulating outcomes, you're matching your mindset to the reality God already sees for you. Chosen one, maybe you've looked back at your life and wondered if you've wasted too much time. Maybe you've replayed old decisions in your mind like a broken record, questioning the missed chances, the detours, the doors you didn't walk through. But let me tell you something sacred. Nothing in your life was wasted. Not one tear, not one delay, not one so-called failure. Everything you've endured was part of a divine curriculum designed specifically for your soul's evolution. Even the moments you thought broke you were secretly building you. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared for this, for now. Every setback was sharpening your discernment. Every heartbreak was deepening your compassion. Every closed door was rerouting you to something far better than you could have planned. Have you considered that the version of you who is finally ready to rise could only exist because of everything you've walked through? And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. You've been called, and yes, even your detours were covered in divine fingerprints. Think about Steve Harvey. He spent years living out of his car, humiliated and broke, wondering if he had missed his moment. But that delay wasn't denial, it was development. Today, he's not only a global entertainer, but a living example that every painful season has purpose when you keep going. Chosen one. What if you're not behind at all? What if heaven has been keeping time by a different clock, one that aligns perfectly with your destiny? You may have felt like you were running late in life's race, like everyone else had already found their path, their person, their breakthrough. But here's the divine truth. You are not late. You are not off track. You are right on time. The fact that you're still breathing, still growing, still seeking more, that's your confirmation. Timing isn't about perfection, it's about readiness. And guess what? You're ready now. Not because you have every answer, but because you're finally willing to move forward without them. That's what separates the chosen from the complacent. Ecclesiastes 3:11 reminds us, He has made everything beautiful in its time. That includes you. That includes your journey. That includes this very moment, the one you're in now. This isn't the end of your story. This is the beginning of your next chapter. And no, not because everything suddenly makes sense, but because you have changed. You're choosing to believe. You're choosing to show up. You're choosing to say yes to life again, even after all the reasons you had to say no. Take Vera Wang. She didn't launch her iconic fashion empire until her 40s. Before that, she was a figure skater who didn't make the Olympic team, and a journalist who didn't feel fulfilled. But none of those chapters were wasted. They were threads in the tapestry of who she became. Chosen one. What if your late start is actually perfect timing for your purpose to flourish? And now you hear this voice, this message, and something inside you stirs. That's not coincidence, that's confirmation. This is your moment. This is your wake-up call. Not to scramble, not to stress, but to step into what's always been waiting for you. That version of yourself you've dreamed about, the confident one, the healed one, the bold, unapologetic, divinely aligned one. They're not far off, they're within reach on the other side of your belief. So let me ask you this. What if the only thing standing between where you are and where you long to be is your belief that it's possible? What if nothing external needs to change, just your mindset, just your willingness to believe again, to hope again, to rise again? Hebrews 10:35-36. So do not throw away your confidence, it will be richly rewarded. You need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what He has promised. Don't discard your confidence just because you had to wait. Don't abandon your promise because it hasn't arrived yet. Your reward is still in motion. Your faith is still planting roots. Consider the journey of Colonel Harlan Sanders, the founder of KFC. He didn't achieve business success until he was in his 60s. Before that, countless rejections, setbacks, and failures. But he refused to believe he was too late, and because of that belief, he built a legacy that would last generations. Chosen one. What legacy is trying to be born through you, but can't because you keep doubting your timing? Here's the truth you've been needing to hear. You were never meant to live a small, fearful life. That's not why God created you. You weren't made to shrink. You weren't made to hide. You weren't made to merely survive. You were made to thrive, to shine, to expand beyond every limitation you once believed was permanent. And not someday, not when everything's perfect, but right now, the moment you choose to believe it's possible is the moment everything begins to shift. So believe it, not because it's easy, but because it's true. Let that belief soak into the parts of you that have been tired, doubtful, or afraid. Let it reach the part of you that's been silently begging for a sign. Because these words, this moment, this is your sign. Your spirit already knows it. Your heart already recognizes it. This is what you've been preparing for. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." That future doesn't start one day. It starts the moment you say yes to it. The moment you stop running from yourself and start running toward what God already prepared for you. This is it, chosen one. This is the moment the heavens whispered about, the one your spirit has been sensing for weeks, maybe even years. And if you're still here, still listening, still locked in, then you already know deep down, this moment was made for you. It's not random, it's not hype, it's divine, and it's asking you to wake up fully, not to who you used to be, but to who you already are becoming. Can you feel it? That inner pull, that quiet confirmation that something is shifting, not outside, but within. Take a deep breath, deeper. Close your eyes if you can. Let the noise fall away for just a second. Now picture the version of yourself who already has the life you've been dreaming about. Not the fantasy version, the real one. The you that's already healed, already whole, already walking in purpose, already aligned, already joyful. See them clearly. What does their energy feel like? How do they walk into a room? How do they carry themselves? What decisions do they make without hesitation? Now open your eyes and realize this. There is no cosmic distance between you and that version. The only thing standing in the way is a decision. One single choice to stop waiting, stop doubting, and start living from that identity now. Because when you shift from hoping to embodying, everything changes. The laws of time bend. Reality begins to move. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. This is not about faking it. This is not delusion. This is alignment. It's about stepping into the frequency of your future before it physically arrives. It's about becoming the magnet that draws the vision to you because you're finally acting like it's already yours. That's not pretending. That's faith. That's spiritual maturity. And it's the activation code for a radically different life. Look at Jim Carrey again. Before he was ever famous, he wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered and dated it 5 years into the future. He kept it in his wallet. He visualized, he aligned, and before that date came, he had landed the exact roles that would make it a reality. That wasn't magic. That was alignment. That was belief in motion. Chosen one, what reality are you willing to begin behaving as if it's already true? Because worthiness isn't earned through effort, it's claimed through choice. You don't have to prove you deserve joy. You don't have to hustle your way into peace. You just have to decide that you're worthy right now, not after the promotion, not after the relationship, not after the healing. Now, because the moment you claim that worthiness, the universe reorders itself around your new identity. Isaiah 43:18-19 says, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up, do you not perceive it?" That new thing, it starts the moment you say yes to it. Not just emotionally, not just mentally, but energetically, spiritually. Embodiment is what causes momentum, decision is what breaks delay, and clarity is what collapses time. So the question becomes, are you ready to walk like it's already done? Are you ready to speak like the doors are already open? Are you willing to pray like the answer has already been sent? Because that's the posture of the chosen. That's what changes everything. Think of Viola Davis again. Long before she became a household name, she carried herself with the quiet certainty of someone who already knew who she was. She didn't wait for Hollywood to validate her. She decided, and that decision changed the game. She aligned with her vision and watched the world follow. Chosen one, the world will respond to your energy, but it's waiting for you to set the tone. This moment, it's your sacred activation. No more waiting for permission. No more asking if you're good enough. No more holding your breath for someone else to affirm your destiny. God already called you. You already carry the blueprint. Everything you need is already in you, and the only thing left is to own it, to claim it, to live it. 2 Corinthians 6:2 says, "Now is the time of God's favor. Now is the day of salvation. Not next month, not next year, not when conditions are perfect. Now. You were created for now. And the only thing more dangerous than your pain is your potential when you finally decide to stop delaying. So claim it, stand in it, live like it, walk like it, speak like it. Because you were never meant to just visualize the promise. You were meant to become it. And now is the moment where everything begins. Beloved chosen one, if your heart is still stirring, if your spirit is still awake after everything you've just received, know this, that's not emotion, it's confirmation. Your future self is already watching you, reaching back with open arms, cheering with the kind of joy only someone who knows you made it can carry. They already see what you haven't seen yet, the version of you who is finally free from fear, aligned with purpose, drenched in abundance, walking in authority, and moving through life with grace, clarity, and supernatural power. They're not far away, they're not out of reach, they're simply waiting for you to catch up, and that catching up, it starts now. Not tomorrow, not next season, not when life gets easier. Today, because now is the only doorway that exists between where you are and where you're going. And if this message moved something inside of you, if even one sentence made your heart pause, your eyes tear up, or your soul whisper yes, then don't ignore it. Don't scroll past it. Don't let this become another moment you half felt and quickly forgot. This isn't just content. This is divine instruction. This is your sign. This is your alignment. Let that voice within, the one that has been softly guiding you in the quiet, lead the way. Let this moment be your permission slip to take one small but sacred step toward the life that's calling your name. It doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. It just has to be true. Sometimes the most transformational things begin in silence, with a whisper of courage, a single yes, a private decision to keep going. And when the doubt creeps in again, as it will, when the voices of fear, comparison, or weariness start to shout louder than your faith, come back to this message. Let it be a reminder of your truth. Let it echo in your heart. You are powerful. You are worthy. You are guided. And above all, you are not alone. You were meant to see this, meant to hear this, meant to awaken to this right now, because heaven doesn't deliver messages by accident. If this found you, it's because a divine appointment was set in motion long before you pressed play. And I want to thank you for allowing me to speak into your life today. Thank you for walking with me through this journey of remembrance, truth, and restoration. Whether this is your first time here, or you've been with me for a while, your presence means more than you know. If this message blessed you, encouraged you, or helped you remember your worth, and you feel led to give back, I invite you to support this channel through the Super Thanks feature. Your generosity helps keep messages like this going, reaching more souls who are desperate for light, for hope, for truth. But whether you give or not, I want you to hear me clearly. I am already grateful for you, deeply, truly, fully. Your presence is a gift, your attention is a seed, and your energy here today has created a ripple in the spiritual realm. You're not just a viewer, you are chosen. And that means every time you show up, something powerful happens, not just for you, but through you. You light up the room without trying. You shift atmospheres without speaking. You carry wisdom your past didn't give you, and power your enemies can't touch. So please don't play small. Don't settle for average. Don't delay your calling another day. Instead, speak it, claim it, walk in it. Because everything you've been through, the pain, the confusion, the delays, wasn't random. It was revelation, it was preparation, and now your next chapter is being written not by fear, but by faith. May blessings chase you down in this season. May doors open that no man can close. May you be surrounded by divine protection, supernatural favor, and clarity so loud that doubt no longer has room to speak. I declare peace over your mind, healing over your body, abundance over your hands, and boldness in your decisions. And may everything that has been withheld from you begin to find you in unexpected and miraculous ways. Thank you again for being part of this sacred moment. You are seen, you are loved, you are rising, and the world is about to witness why God kept you through every storm. Your future isn't waiting, it's welcoming you. Until next time, stay aligned, stay grounded, and remember, you were chosen for such a time as this.